Hello and welcome to Hazelhead Park in Aberdeen, Scotland for the Clash of the Titans 2002 Strongman Challenge. The beautiful Granite City on the northeast coast of Scotland is the venue for the first event of 6 in the IFSA Strongman Super Series. Many people claim Scotland to be the modern home of Strongman, and in keeping with tradition, the athletes shall be wearing kilts, the traditional dress of the Highland warrior. And indeed, what a lineup of kilted competitors they have amassed for the first event today. There we can see the local competitor, Alec Patterson. Indeed, the man with the sword, Hugo Girard. And the crowd are certainly impressed with this size. But first, a word from the current world's strongest man, Sven Karlsson.
This is the Viking reporting here from Aberdeen in the opening of the Super Series 2002. I'm here on the crusade from my motherland, Norway, to take home what's rightfully mine.
Sven Karlsson is the young Viking. I'm the old one, and I'm here to show that age do not matter.
They asked me to say something funny, but you know what? That ain't funny. That's super serious because we're Super Series.
Everybody talk how strong they are. I go to show how strong I am.
Hey, bring that back. Well, you certainly wouldn't want to invite Yanni Virtanen around your house when things are going wrong. And what a lineup we've got here. You can see Gary Mitchell, the top of the lineup there from USA, ex-powerlifter. Odd Hogan, the 52-year-old Norwegian, still battling strong. Indeed, these are the best of the best in the Super Series 2002. There you can see Odd Hogan with the white beard. We've got Sven Karlsson of Norway, the current world's strongest man, who was speaking first there. And up with the first event, we have the yoke race. On the left-hand side, you can see Odd Hogan. On the right, Gary Mitchell. And this is over 360 kilos in weight, 2 engine blocks. Indeed, the classic event and the same equipment you see on the world's strongest man. Hogan there, really doing well. You can see the strain in his face. And, oh, he hasn't quite made it over the line. I think he's going to have to squat that up again. That is back-breaking stuff. Believe it or not, he's 52 years old. He won the Mr. Norway title 32 years ago. Since then, been living in Hawaii, training, powerlifting. Mitchell struggling a bit here. I don't know if he's going to finish that. He's a man who's had several back surgeries, and an event like this has got to hurt. Indeed, he's also a man who's had 10 knee surgeries, he's been telling me. And I'm certainly not envious of that. He's probably dubbed as the unluckiest strongman in the world. But got immense power and a big heart. You can see that. You see the way he's holding on to the sides of the engine blocks there, trying to keep some form of stability. But yeah, I think a wise move, Gary. Give up before you're forced to give up. They always say in strongman, there are only survivors. There are never winners. And in no event is that more true than the super yoke. Well, next up, 2 very powerful men from the European continent. We have Martin Muir on the left-hand side and Jarek Dymek of Poland on the right. Muir, strongest man of Germany, took over from Heinz Olesch, and Dymek, twice strongest man of Poland. Both extremely powerful, fast men. Dymek there, the ex-kickboxer. It's going to be close, and, well, it looks like Dymek has lost in 21:38, just ahead. Martin Muir really racing ahead. Down
Milo, which time?
in first, 20 point. And there's Dr. Douglas Edmonds starting the next 2 competitors off. We've got Brian Schoenfeld to the left, and the incredibly powerful Hugo Girard on the right, probably the greatest presser. Oh, geez, and Girard has gone down early, and he's got to be a favorite here because Girard won here last year before it was a Super Series event. Indeed, won many top titles, but he's catching. He could, well, catch. Yes, I believe he has done. 18.5 seconds. That's a great comeback from Gerard.
That was so close. 18.50.
Brian Schoenfeld there. Got to be a little unhappy that he was caught. He's an American, ex-road construction worker. Again, a man with immense upper body power, but perhaps not the experience of Gerard. Well, Dr. Douglas Edmonds controlling the situation as ever, and we can see Dr. Edmonds' diet is paying off. He's looking slimmer than we've seen him before. And on the right-hand side, we have the current world's strongest man, Sven Karlsson. On the left, at the back of your screen there, Janne Virtanen, world's strongest man of 2000. This is indeed the battle of the favorites here, and that's just the most incredible bit of running by any man with 365 kilos on his back. Well, let's hear what he's got to say.
Viking power, winning time, no doubt, Sven Karlsson. What a race.
No doubt! Give me a fish, I eat it!
Does that give me a fish and I'll eat it? Well, that's pretty terrifying stuff, really, isn't it? Sven Karlsson up on 9 points, with Virtanen back in 8 and Gerard in 7. So it's really going to form at the moment how you'd probably expect it to go. Schoenfeld coming in an interesting 4th. Alec Patterson, the local boy, down there in 8th, just ahead of Gary Mitchell. And that's one of the fun things in the Super Series. There's always a local boy who has to take part. Well, our next event, the car lift, coming up with a Saab there. And that's been donated by the local Saab garage. Indeed, Adrian Smith, Saab of Aberdeen. Well, first up, got Martin Muir. He's got his wraps on there. You are allowed wraps in the car lift, and it's all about repetitions here. And it's got to be said, my experience of strongman competitions, that is a particularly high pickup. It's a heavy car, a Saab. It must be well over 1,300 kilos, but Muir's making that look far too easy. He is a man with truly immense lower back and leg power, but still, it seems an awful high pickup. It's just about from his knees that he's pulling it from, and that really, well, you've got to say that seems rather high. I just wonder whether it's the soft ground and his feet are digging in that's perhaps causing it to be such an easy lift. But, well, I say easy, but well, you've got to say there's a lot of strain on that man's face. 26 repetitions. You've got to wonder how the other guys will do against that. And you see there, Muir wearing the traditional kilt. And he's managing to pull off another one. He has 90 seconds to do as many reps as he can, but, well, he's had enough. 27 repetitions. He's got to wonder what the other competitors will do. In a normal strongman competition, you'd have to say 27 would be an extremely high number, but this is going to be a real battle, because I think everyone's thinking they're going to have to do a very high total here. This is Brian Schoenfeld, the American, the power lifter, the man with a 22-inch neck. That's right, 22 inches. Makes Mike Tyson's neck look really downright slim. You see he's leaning in against the car, getting the best possible biomechanics he can. His feet stuck rigid. Well, he's turning an interesting shade of purple there. You've got to remember to breathe, Brian, if you're going to complete this amount of repetitions. Well, you can see in the back there's several other strongman competitors and lots of crowd watching on. I think I spotted Derek MacArthur and John Kerr, a couple of strongmen in the background. Hugo Gerard in the sunglasses watching on. He's thinking, how many reps am I going to have to do? Because he is a good deadlifter. A man who's lifted a very high total in powerlifting. Schoenfeld himself having lifted a very high total. 28, 29 repetitions. My goodness. I wonder what Schoenfeld has to say on that.
What are you looking at, freak?
Brian Schoenfeld, this puts you in the lead. Any comments?
Oh, yeah, I got a comment. Woo!
Well, there you are. I believe he was doing a Macho Man Randy Savage imitation, but I could well be wrong. He could just be sighing rather loudly. And rightly so. This is hard work. Well, looks like we're getting a bit of sun up here on the northeast coast of Scotland, and Gerard is lapping it up and down. We're into the double figures for Gerard, and I do believe he looks rather comfortable. You can see there he's strapped in tightly. He's even perhaps using a little bit of a bounce technique, using the suspension of the car to push it up again. And you'd have to say a very wise move indeed, because it's up and down with incredible speed. And he's going into the lead now, ahead of Schoenfeld. You just wonder, how many can this man do in 90 seconds? I don't think it's going to be so much a matter of time as just how many he can fit in. Well, that's the first sign he's getting tired, really. Wrap on again with only 15 seconds to go. Let's see if he can squeeze out another couple. It will be a very hard total to beat. Well, 37 repetitions. Hugo Gerard must be fairly happy with that. And he must be thinking, just how many repetitions can a man do in 90 seconds? Well, Virtanen, it's got to be said, is the taller man, standing some 1.96 meters. That's about 6'5" in old money, and therefore has really a slightly longer pull on it. He's got to stand that little bit higher, but he too is incorporating this bouncing technique, and you can tell that experience counts in strongman. These men are professionals, and in all professional sport you have to take into account not exactly tricks or fudges, but you've got to know how to play around the rules. You've got to know what the best moves are for the events. And you can see he's got double belts on, he's got knee wraps, he's not messing around. He knows it's 2 grueling, hard days of competition in Aberdeen. Well, he's certainly getting close to the American Schoenfeld's count. And the lactic acid is now kicking in. And you can imagine what his arms feel like. They're about to be pulled out of his shoulder sockets. The lactic acid burning terribly. 31, that's it. He's had enough. Can't match what Gerard did, but here we go. I wonder if he's eaten his fish and he's all powered up and ready to go. Sven Karlsson, what a power athlete this man is. A man in absolute prime form, with almost incredible power. Well, 90 seconds to go. Let's see what he can do. Well, it looked like a bit of a hard lift, but that's half the problem when you're out in a field in Scotland. You can see Jim Pollock watching on there. And when you're out in the field in Scotland, you don't have warm-up bars. These men literally just walk up to the car, 320 kilos at the pivot point, and just pull. And for those of you that have done a few deadlifts in the gym, realize you certainly wouldn't like to walk up to a bar and pull just about maximum for repetitions without any warm-up. Well, that's what the strongman has to go through. And if you don't enjoy pain, don't get involved with the sport. Well, he's taking a little breather. 22, it's got to be said, it's not quite what we'd expect from Sven. Not only is he strong, but he's also a bit of a madman, and he loves pain. This is the kind of event you'd imagine Sven to battle on, but he's getting into a rhythm once again, up over the 30 repetition mark. Well, Sven, some shouting there from the whole Viking family that have come over to watch. His mum, dad, and his new wife, they're all here to watch. Well, not bad from Sven.
In the first yoke, and now you won the car lift. Is this an expected development?
You know, every event, you go out there, you do your best. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And deadlift is not known to be my best event. But I've been working hard on it, keep improve. and that's the whole idea.
You're defending champion from last year here in Scotland, Aberdeen, yes?
Yes, I am, and I'm going to do all my best to retain the title. And hopefully, you know, that's a super series, so of course you got to push even harder.
Good luck, and we'll see how you do it.
Thank you.
Yes!
Well, Hugo Girard, the cop from Canada, truly a gentle giant, and managed 37 repetitions. Gives him the 9 points. Carlson on 8, Virtanen on 7. Well, we've definitely got 3 lead runners today. Schoenfeld there back in another 4th place. Well, he's on 12 points, but Carlson in the lead on 17, closely pushed by Girard. Alec Patterson of Scotland doing well, keeping up with Gary Mitchell, the world-class powerlifter. Alec, just a local lad who has really come on in the last year, doing very well. Well, join us after the break.
Welcome back to Aberdeen and the Super Series. I'm Odd Haugen of Norway. I'm here to take on my countryman Sven Carlson.
Well, Odd Hogan doing very well for a 52-year-old. That's right. This man's truly incredible. There you can see in 7th place. Probably Hogan himself not that pleased with it. A man with a ferocious appetite for competition. Indeed, a man who's played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Never mind the Redskins. Never mind playing also for some other NFL teams, and indeed has been Mr. Norway 32 years ago. Jarek Dimmick up first. This not the traditional Viking press that we know, but more a hammer strength machine that we are more used to in bodybuilding gymnasiums, not the traditional strongman event with the log. And you can see there that each one of the arms is independent of each other. So if you have any weakness on either side, then it's really going to be found out. Dimmick seemed to stop early there. He's shaking his head. I just wonder whether he's happy with that. He didn't seem to do as well as perhaps we might have thought. He's a very good competitor, usually overhead. Well, next up, the German Martin Muir. You can see there the position that they're taking, leaning right into the weight. But the problem is, unlike a jerk, you can't push the bar with your chest because there is no bar. It's independent on either side. And Muir, well, he's not renowned for his upper body strength, and he's going to give up before he is forced to give up, because I think he could have battled with that all day. And our next competitor, Schoenfeld, as the caption says, 8 repetitions to beat, and Schoenfeld has some incredible upper body power. Well, he seems fairly comfortable at the moment. Matching Dimmick for 8, powering on, getting into a rhythm, and it would appear that the hardest part of this is the lockout at the top, getting your elbows to lock straight out, especially when you're carrying the musculature of some of these men. You tend to be almost muscle bound, and you can see just how close they have to bring their arms and hence their biceps close to their chest, and it really is a tight squeeze to get all the muscles to lock straight out. 14 repetitions. Well, Brian Schoenfeld can be happy with that, and I'm sure he'll go off and do a few more Macho Man imitations. Sven Carlson. Well, does this man have weaknesses? That's the question. Taking no chances with the lockout, waiting for Dr. Douglas Edmonds to say the count, because if you don't wait and you bring it down too early, you'll lose the count. And of course, we've seen that before at crucial times in the past. One particular, I remember when Flemming Rasmussen didn't quite lock out for long enough in World's Strongest Man, and it, well, pretty much cost him the title against Ahola in Nevada. 9 repetitions. Well, the Viking seems pretty happy with that. Well, a little bit of a snarl from Girard there. And if any man can beat 14 repetitions, it would be Hugo Girard. He was a world-class bench presser from a very early age. Well, when you have a rib cage as big as Hugo's and a chest well in excess of 60 inches, you would expect the man to have some power. And you can see he's getting a little bit of his hips into it, which is definitely a clever way to get the weight first moving off your chest, and then if you pull back from it, you can help snap it out. And that's exactly what he's doing. A bit like the old clean and press from the old weightlifting days. You can turn it into several movements if you try. 15 repetitions. Well, that's very impressive. I wonder what he's got to say.
2 wins out of 3 Super Series events today. Are you in great shape?
I feel good so far, but there's still 5 events to go. Very good athlete here. So there's no time to, no room for mistake. And you can expect them to stop trying, so it's gonna be tough.
Hammer press here, Viking press hammer. Was that a good event for you, obviously?
Obviously, every pressing event is a good event, but this apparatus here was a bit different. But it's different for everyone. So
when you saw Brian Schoenfeld do a 14, did you believe you could beat him then?
I always believe I could win.
Oh, no. Brian, did you think you were going to win this now when you did 14?
Well, yeah, anytime Hugo gets a chance to go after I do, usually comes up a little bit about one more.
But you're up there in the top now. You, Hugo and Sven is in the top, as it seems, after the 3 events. Did you expect that?
In this event, the press, yeah, pressing like Hugo is one of my best events.
Next event is stones. How are you in the stones?
I think I'm going to shock some people this time around compared to the last time in Stockholm when I competed against these guys.
Well, the results from the Viking press. You can see that Girard only had to do 1 more repetition than Schoenfeld to win, and he wasn't going to impress the crowd with any ridiculous totals, just enough to win, and that's what being a professional is all about. He is leading the table there, just 1 point ahead of Carlson. And Odd Hogan, Gary Mitchell, Alec Patterson, all chasing on, having their own little battle down the bottom. And we'd certainly expect the Scotsman Patterson to do well in the stones, this being the traditional Scottish event, the McGlashan stones, passed down through the clans generation after generation. And it's Odd Hogan, the Norwegian, 52 years old, as we've said, with immense lower back power, as you'd expect from a powerlifter. The first stone, 110 kilos. The second, 120. The third, 130 kilos. Not just that, but it's also wet. And this isn't just the traditional McGlashan stones that some of us grew up with in the 80s and early 90s. These are, in fact, McGlashan stone 2 to 5 with an addition. The 6th McGlashan stone is now 160 kilograms of chiseled Scottish sandstone. You can see there, Hogan tapping his arms, getting a little bit of tacky onto his hands. It really must be wet and slippy. The conditions really not helping him at all. If he can just get it to his knees and reposition. No, I'm sure he said there that the grip is troubling him. Still 3 stones in 65.39 seconds. Hogan must be impressed with that. And for those of you who watched the World's Strongest Man of 2001 will remember Sven Carlson won the whole event on the stones at the end. It wasn't fully decided in the last event. You can see why he won, but he made sure of it in the stones. The Viking, the Norwegian, with immense power. Well, he won't be pleased with that. That was not what you wanted to do, Sven, when you've got some other good stone lifters involved, especially Virtanen, an incredible stone lifter. Well, you can see this new 5th stone. I don't know if any man will pick this up. It's going to take an immense feat. And, well, it doesn't look like Carlson's the man today, unless Well, unless someone came over and gave him a hand, because that was never going to go up. But Carlson has put in a good time. He's got to be pleased with that. It's all about consistency in strongman. Don't blow yourself out. Don't get injured. Keep hanging in and getting the points. Because there are 8 events. Well, next up, Schoenfeld. Often the very big bench pressers and upper body men like Schoenfeld, you'd think, would be the better stone lifters, but they often aren't. They have such big chest and arms that the circumference of the stone becomes difficult to pick up. Often the taller, slender, longer-limbed athletes, such as Virtanen, do far better in the stones. They can get their arms right round, often clenching the hands and therefore making the pull a lot easier. Well, Schoenfeld knows he's got to get this stone up if he's going to keep within a shout of the top 3. You would certainly expect Virtanen and Gerard to go forward and do all 4, if not the big one as well, the 5th stone. This 160 kilo stone coming from Dundee, I believe Brian Bell, the great Scottish strongman, got it made.
It's very hard with no tacky. Brian. If they're dry, they're fine. Yeah, that's how I train them.
Well, here he is, Gerard. Will he prove my theory of men with chests that are just too big to lift stones? Of course he will. He's just so ridiculously strong that it doesn't really matter what his biomechanics are. That's just immense power. Well, he's done 3. He's making the 4th look a little bit easier than Carlson did. So, if any man's going to do it so far, it looks like it'll be Gerard. He's getting tackied up, get his position. You try and roll the stone up onto a little high point on the grass, a bit like teeing up a golf ball to get your hands under it. Well, Hugo, he looks like it. My goodness, that's impressive. Let's hear what he's got to say on that.
This heavy stone?
Yeah, felt great with the rain, everything. Scottish weather, great time, great crowd, great competition.
Well, Hugo Gerard, he won here last year. He likes the Scottish weather, he likes the people, and he's producing the results here yet again. And he has got 2 of the world's strongest men, Sven, the current champion, and Jani of 2000, Jani Virtanen of Finland, both chasing him. He is probably dubbed the greatest strongman not to win that title. But he's doing well here today. Join us after a commercial break for yet more action and the 5th event, the carpool. Welcome back to Scotland, to Aberdeen, the northeast coast, and Mr. Virtanen going into the pub to have a drink. Well, is he going to have a pint of the local 90 shilling? No, he's going for a pint of the white stuff. Well, first event, or rather the 5th event, the first event of the 2nd day for these men, is the carpool. They were originally going to use a truck for the event, but the tyres just sunk into the soft Scottish turf. So they've had to use 2 cars, end on end, 2 Saabs, combined weight 2,700 kilograms. No mean feat to pull. You can see Virtanen there really going for it. And it's got to be said, that rope does seem fairly elastic. They haven't gone for the possible traditional rope. It is somewhat more elasticated. Too easy, he said. And Dr. Edmonds fights back with you, just too strong, Jani. He is a very good athlete, built a bit like a rower. Very tall, very long, and you would always imagine a man like that would do well at an event like this. Well, Schoenfeld comes up. He's got to try and beat the 28.6 seconds recorded by Virtanen. He's getting a much shorter pull on the rope, trying to keep the slack as little as possible while the pull goes on. But it's got to be said, Schoenfeld will have to work on that technique if he's going to match it with the big boys. Well, not the big boys, the best boys, because he is one of the biggest boys at 330 pounds. He's a giant man. And, well, Virtanen's 28 seconds is pretty safe here. 39.65 seconds for the big American. Well, next up, our Norwegian Viking, or rather our younger Norwegian Viking, Hogan, the 52-year-old, lived 30 years in Hawaii in America, but now resides back in Norway. Sven, hailing from near Oslo, with his own gym there. You can see he's got a very fast movement. Dr. Edmonds there just making sure his helper doesn't pull on the rope as well, because we don't want this to turn into a tandem rope pull. And you can see he's really going for it. 28 seconds to beat. 26.38. Well, the Viking has started the second day just as he would have wanted to. Yep, camaraderie and friendship is abound amongst the strongmen. This is not a game where you win fortunes of money. Instead, you gain incredible friendships and have some great fun along the way. You can see it really must be a light pull. The way he's just doing it arm over arm, using nothing but bicep and lat strength. 23.03 seconds, not even using his legs. Well, what has he got to say on that?
Start by winning the 5th event, 4 wins and 1 third place.
You know, I can't ask for better. It's a very good field of athlete, and so far I'm doing, you know, I couldn't expect more or any better.
Who would frighten you now? Sven Karlsson, Virtanen?
Of course, I think right now in the point, it's between me and Sven. Sven is right there behind. No room for mistake. And let's get the best man win.
Well, I can't imagine very much frightens that man. But Sven Karlsson and Janni Virtanen gaining good points. But Gerard once again gaining the maximum. Out now ahead, 3 points ahead of Karlsson. Virtanen a little further back on 27. But Virtanen did say that he injured his back a little in that Viking press and the super yoke. So he's done well just to come out on the second day and compete at all. The yoke really does take its toll on people's backs. Indeed, Martin Muir has stated that he's really hurt his shoulder. You would expect the German to be coming closer as well. And we can see Brian Schoenfeld of the USA here in our 6th event, the Conan Circle. And Schoenfeld really finding it tough. It's very soft underfoot. And he's taking rather large footsteps for any Conan Circle I've ever seen. I was speaking with the organizers of the event, Francis Brebner, and he was telling me that the bar that holds up the heavy barrels has been moved up by 40 kilos in weight. It is now a fully solid bar when it used to be a hollow bar. So if you've seen this event before, it's now a full 320 kilograms in weight. Well, Hogan going for it. He looks like he's got a better technique there. Leaning back, breathing. Often the men with the bigger chests, sort of like the Husefeld stone in the Conan Circle, struggle in this event. It tends to crush the chest and crush the air out of you. You can't breathe. and you get faint, and as we've seen several times, people falling over and collapsing. Well, this man is very good at the Conan Circle. Jani Virtanen trains very hard at this event back in Finland. He's got hard, sinewy arms, as you would expect from a man who has many times made it to the finish final for wrestling before he turned to strongman. Truly a great athlete. And he's motoring round there, doing very well indeed. Looks like he's going to go ahead of the other competitors. Well, my results are flashing up, and it would appear that Virtanen has gone 1.25 laps round. And as we saw, the first up, Schoenfeld only did half a lap. Hogan managed 3/4 of a lap. So this is very heavy. We usually expect to see the Conan Circle to go around at least 2.5 times. But the conditions underfoot and the new added weight is really making it a hard event. Sven Karlsson, I think he's snarling. I'm not sure who he's snarling at, but he seems to be enjoying it. The difficulty is he's got Gerard to follow. He's really got to put a big distance out there. If he doesn't, Gerard has got the psychological advantage of going last. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Sven Karlsson, you have 2 events left. Was this an event that could make you move towards Hugo Gerard closer?
I think so. I think this at least will put me in the lead for now, because this is probably the worst event from Hugo. But he's on the roll now. But it's not over before it's over.
So you still feel you have a chance to take Hugo in this Super Series Aberdeen event?
Of course, look at him. He's nervous now, shaking his legs. Of course.
Well, the banter is stepping up. It's now a psychological game. Hugo Gerard knows he's got to do 1.33 laps or better to match or beat Karlsson. And he doesn't look comfortable at all there. I'm not sure if he's got the proper grip. It doesn't seem to be close to his body enough. And as I said, the men with the big chests tend to get crushed. Well, half a lap for Gerard. Is he happy?
Hugo Gerard, that was not so good. Sven Karlsson here maybe is winning the event, and you are passed by several athletes.
2 more events to go. It's not over until the fat lady sing, eh?
Is this usually not so good event for you?
That's not my best event.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear the fat lady sing now?
The fat lady, Sven Karlsson, you mean?
Now his legs are shaking because he knows that's his turn now. Next event is mine.
I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose for a donut eating clown.
Well, it's all good fun. Sven Karlsson, 9 points. Virtanen, 8. Gerard, 4.5 points, sharing 5th place with Schoenfeld, and that's really put him back on the points. Karlsson going to the lead for, well, the second time. He did indeed win the first event, the yoke, and he's back on top again. Gerard will not be happy. 2 events to go. Let's see what Brian Schoenfeld can do with this. This is all about bottle, because those grips, those handles are very gnarled. You can really hold on to this event for a very long time. You get the option to basically release it and save the skin on your hands, or believe me, they just tear right out of your fingers. It's an immense pain. 165 kilos in each hand, that's what it's weighing in at. Well, what did I say? Well, I can't see any signs of blood, so Schoenfeld perhaps saved there, but he probably felt a bit of tearing of his skin and gave in. It really is an immensely painful experience, this event. Strongman in body and in mind. Hugo Gerard in 2nd place at the moment. My goodness, that is not pleasurable at all. I can see that he's lifted his right leg. That is a very strange technique, and I've never seen that before. One can only assume he feels that the right-hand one is perhaps a little heavier, and it's pulling him over to the right. Well, he's putting in a good time all the same. I certainly believe he's in a very dangerous position there. I wouldn't like to be in that position, worried to slip. 29.31 seconds. Gerard, cool as ice. Off to eat a donut. That's not bad at all. Old Hogan, here's a tough customer. He's not one to give in with a little bit of pain. You can see that the competitors are allowed to put the cars as wide as they want before they start. And we've seen a few times where inexperienced competitors have not put them wide enough, and the cars start to roll down the hill. And that 165 kilos in each hand suddenly multiplies very quickly. My goodness, that does not look like a healthy color. Oof, it is that right side again. That right-hand side does seem to be pulling out of their hands. The left-hand side, as you look onto it, there's David Webster. The venerable David Webster has done many a Highland Games and Strongman competition commentating throughout the world. Janne Virtanen, the wrestler, the man of steel, has got a formidable grip, and you would expect to do well here. Virtanen's really got to hold on tight, because he wants to win events like this, not finish in 3rd or 4th place. Well, looks like he could go ahead of Gerard's 29.31 seconds if he can just hold on. I thought he was going to drop it there, but yes, it's gone. He's done what looks like enough. 33.33 seconds. And Sven has never enjoyed this event. This is not a good one for Sven. You can see the initial pull there to the right-hand side as soon as the cars were released. Sven battling on. He said he would be happy with anything over about 20 seconds if he can just keep in touch with the other competitors, if he can keep his points going into the last event. Well, he's done that. He's gone ahead of Mitchell, Patterson, Muir. 22.22 seconds. He's got to be happy with that. He's gone ahead of Hogan, and that's probably what he wanted. 3rd place for that event gives him 7 points. And when we look at the overall total of points, we can see just how well he's doing. Half a point ahead of ahead of Gerard going into the final event. Virtanen now out of the race with 9 points to go in each event. It looks like it's a battle between Carlson and Gerard.
I knew all along it was going to be between me, Sven, and Janne. And even after a couple of wins, I knew it won't be over until the last event. So now here we are. Last event, equal point.
Medley, is that a strong event for you? Is that something you're going to beat Hugo in?
It's something I can beat him in, but something he can beat me in as well. Because that's the very, the good thing about the event. It's going to be very exciting for the audience.
It's fantastic. After 7 events, now in front of the 8th, the medley. How do you consider the medley as an event? Is it the toughest event of the whole Grand Prix?
I think so. I think the way it's designed is going to be very tough, but it's going to be tough for everybody. I think the crowd's going to enjoy it, and also we're going to enjoy it too.
It's the last thing we're going to do today, so we're going to give it all.
Well, join us after the break for the final event, the medley. Welcome back to Aberdeen, and we've got the final event of this, the first Super Series in 2002, and it's very close, just half a point between Carlson and Gerard. Let's hear what Carlson has to say.
I'm Sven Carlson, Europe's strongest man, world's strongest man. The only thing I haven't won is the World Super Series
And I'm going to do that this year, and I'm starting here in Aberdeen, and that's a fact.
Well, he hasn't eaten it. The fish is safe. So, the final event, the medley. And a formidable event under these wet conditions. The tire, 420 kilograms. The weight, 15 meters you have to run with it, and that's 200 kilos. And the barrels at the end have to be stacked, and they're 110 kilos each. You can see Virtanen looking over there at Schoenfeld on the right, like he's going casually. I'm assuming he's working out that all he needs to do is stay ahead of Schoenfeld to keep his points and therefore finish third. It looks like a fairly easy run out for Virtanen, but he has to be careful because often going at certain things a little half-hearted, you can cause yourself an injury, but it looks like he's just having a jog in the park. Well, Schoenfeld getting a little bit of teasing there from the very fit Janne Virtanen. Loves these kind of events, built for them, fit, fast, strong. Schoenfeld there, no doubt feeling the pain of the 8 events. Virtanen, 58.34 seconds, breaks the minute barrier and sets a time for Carlsen and Gerard in the final heat of the event. Well, Schoenfeld staggers up, no doubt pumped, full of lactic acid, not quite finding the whole event so funny as Virtanen, and yeah, time for a snooze, no doubt, time for a beer as well. Well, here we have it, the final showdown. Everything rests on this event. They are half a point apart. Carlsen on the right, the current world's strongest man, is in the lead. Gerard on the left, the Canadian, the policeman. Won here last year, desperate to keep his title here in Aberdeen. Watch out for Carlsen. No one flips a tire like Carlsen. That is a 420 kilo tire, and he's making it look like child's play. Gerard just behind. A bit of a slip there with his hands. He won't be happy with that. Well, 200 kilos. All you've got to watch out for is slipping. That could be the disaster now for Carlsen. He's well in the lead, and it certainly looks like he could take the title. He sees that Gerard's behind him, and now the shouting begins. Well, Gerard is doing his best. Carlsen, ever the joker. Enjoying the day, as he should. He is the champion from Aberdeen in this, the first of the Super Series. Gerard in second. How do they feel? Let's hear.
Sven Carlsen, Super Series Grand Prix champion Aberdeen.
I told you, nobody plays with the Vikings.
Well, there we can see the final results. And Sven Carlsen, the winner of the final event. The other 4 not taking part. That was it. It was all down to the final event. Odd Hogan there, finishing in 5th. Very respectable for a man of 52 years old. Schoenfeld 4th, Virtanen in 3rd. The bronze medal, Gerard in 2nd. Sven Carlsen, the Viking, on 65 points. Currently world's strongest man, and now Aberdeen Super Series. He leads the points, gets all 6 points with 3 more events to go. Well, all it's down to now is receiving the prizes and, of course, the money for winning. Let's hear what he's got to say on the victories.
I knew it was going to be hard, but if I go into a competition with doubts, I'm not going to win. So with all the respect, you know, Hugo did an unbelievable good job here. But I always know that if it come down to the last event, head to head, I'm very hard to beat.
Well, that's it from Aberdeen. Stay tuned for the Tour de France. Hello and welcome to Stockholm, Sweden for the second IFSA Super Series Strongman event of the season.
We have the 14 strongest men from all corners of the world here today. All are national champions, all have international titles. So let me introduce them to you, the IFSA Super Series contenders.
Well, we have 14 contenders here at the second of the Super Series events. That was Sven Karlsson, World's Strongest Man from 2001 and winner of the first Super Series event in Aberdeen. Brian Schoenfeld up second there, twice American champion. Odd Hogan, 52 years old, 52 years young. He was Mr. Norway back in 1970. Jaroslav Dymek, ex-kickboxer from Poland, 31 years old. Gregor Edmonds, Scotland's strongest man, second in United Kingdom strongest man, and he is a newcomer to the scene, did very well at the Worlds. Jan Bartel of the Czech Republic, ex-shot putter, international discus thrower as well. Anders Johansson of Sweden, 26 years old. He's lived in the shadows of Magnus Samuelsson long enough. This is his chance. Jorma Pannanen of Sweden also stepping up to the international stage. And Marius Pudzianowski, world's strongest man of 2002. He's on absolute dynamite form. What will he do here today? Juha-Matti Räsänen. He's representing Finland in the absence of some of the other great Finns like Jani Veltonen. Martin Muir, he's the German representative, 31 years old, always good in the dynamic events. How about this man though? Hugo Girard of Canada. He was second in Scotland, looking for the victory here today. Another man, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, Zydrunas Zavikas of Lithuania, second at World's Strongest Man 2002. Raimons Bergmanis of Latvia, 3 times in the Olympic super heavyweight final, and he is undoubtedly a man to watch out for in the first event to come up, the log press. Well, the opening weight of 120 kilos was managed by all the athletes. One man fell out at 140 kilos, Gregor Edmonds of Scotland, struggling with some bicep and shoulder pain. The first man up here, Jorma Pannanen of Sweden, making 150 kilos look very difficult indeed. Well, he has had a slight arm injury coming into the competition. Looks like he may well have aggravated that. This is Gregor Edmonds going for that 150 kilo attempt and struggling there. Dr. Douglas Edmonds, the father of Gregor Edmonds, the competitor, in charge of the log lift. Well, here he is, Jaroslav Dymek. He finished 9th in the World's Strongest Man final of 2002. Incredible overhead pressing power. This is the first man at 160 kilos. And I don't know what's happened there. He was so incredibly dynamic and powerful on the giant log at World's Strongest Man. Juha-Matti Räsänen, known for his back strength. Never been great overhead. He's got such long limbs, huge levers, very difficult to press out overhead. This man, Jan Bartels, a great shot putter, must have incredible upper body strength. 160 kilos, a lot heavier than the 7.26 kilo shot, however. Struggling there to manage a rep. Edmonds giving a no lift. So who's going to be the first man to step up and make a clean lift? It's Marius Pudzianowski, the World's Strongest Man winner of 2002. Well, that is a surprise. Pudzianowski, however, has taken 4 months off throughout the winter period to rest and recuperate and build up for the World's Strongest Man 2003. So he's obviously off form, just turning up to the show to try and gain a little more sponsorship money, perhaps. Well, Odd Hogan, the 52-year-old, does he have the power to manage it? So close. Looked like the left arm just failed to lock there. An absolutely incredible competitor. He competed for the Redskins in American football some 30 years ago. Before that, a bodybuilder, Mr. Norway in 1970. A truly incredible strength tale. Well, this man is a power lifter of absolutely prodigious proportions. He's been world champion. He's been second at the World's Strongest Man. This log is proving tricky. The metal logs often do slippy on the chest. You need that tacky, the glue on your chest to try and hold it, to give you a good shove with your legs. This man, however, has little problem with huge tricep power in pressing out the logs. So impressive in World's Strongest Man. Surely Hugo Girard of Canada will manage 170 kilos. He has done it the same weight he managed in the World's Strongest Man. That day, he looked good for at least another 15 kilos. Anders Johansson coming out of the shadow of Magnus Samuelsson. This is his chance to star. He's renowned for overhead pressing power on 170 kilos. It's a good lift. Referee Edmonds happy that both feet are in line and stationary. Well, he's definitely going to be one to watch in the future, just 26 years old. This man, now a veteran of strongman, still only 28, not old at all in strongman terms. Brian Schoenfeld of the United States did very well in this event, a World's Strongest Man, easily pressing out 165, but this is 170 kilos. You see there the trick by sticking the belt out, what's known as the European jerk, flicking it up with your belt to try and get it onto the chest. I'm sure if Schoenfeld can just get it up to shoulder height, he would stand a chance, but no. It's no lift for Schoenfeld. That's the difficulty. Didn't have the bicep power, nor the back power to flip it to his shoulders. Well, 170 kilos remains on the log for the World's Strongest Man of 2001. That is a magnificent lift by Sven Karlsson. No mistaking the Viking power there. So the pressure's on. Raymond Bergmanis going for 170 kilos also. This is the last man at this weight. So far, clearances from Johansson and Girard. Everyone else a failure. This is the clean and jerker. Let's see the technique. Well, he still has control. Can he use his powerful legs? It looked good from here. It's a good lift, shouts referee Edmonds. Bergmanis certainly wouldn't have got that in Olympic lifting rules. A double movement with his elbow to lock it out there. But this is strongman. So Bergmanis goes for 175 kilos, the only competitor to go for this. This a tactical move. If he gets this, the other two go up and fail. He will win the log lift. Can he manage 175? No lift for Bergmanis. Certainly looked a little faint there.
World record attempt. Are you ready for it?
Yeah. Been waiting a long time. Now we see if I get it.
How sure are you that you're gonna get it?
I'm sure one thing, I'm going there and failure is not an option.
Well, there it goes. 185 kilos. This is a new world record. Never done before in strongman anywhere. The old world record held by Jamie Reeves. Done twice, 180 kilos. Once in Hungary, once in South Africa. This is new territory. And those enormous triceps, press it out. Oh, so close. The crowd willing him on, but Gerard not up to the task here. He will be very angry at himself there. He looked so good at World's Strongest Man. The 170 kilos that day flew up like nothing. Everybody was shouting for him to go for 185. He didn't. So that leaves him equal with Bergmanis on 170 at the moment. Two men in the competition, this man, Anders Johansson, and Sven Karlsson. Does he have what it takes for the new... Oh, once again, lacking the tricep power. A much better technique, however, snapping the legs out. Surely this 26-year-old will be a star for the future. This man has done so many great things in strength sport. World-class bodybuilder, world-class powerlifter. Is this the day for the former world's strongest man to prove he is the greatest log lifter ever? It's a good lift. He's done it, 185 kilos, a new world record here in Stockholm, Sweden. Well, there's the man who's lost his crown, Jamie Reeves, with a very wry smile. Reeves did adjudicate as to whether the log was officially a decent log. It was the full 30-centimeter width.
Odin is here, how can you miss?
Well, the Viking gods stepped in and helped him there.
Had a holiday, and I've been moving to a new house, so I haven't spent that much time training, but the rest has actually done me good, I think.
You and Hugo have had many competitions all over the world for many years. When you saw that he wasn't gonna make it, how did that make you feel?
Well, I was standing on the side and sucking his energy out with the help from Thor and Odin.
Well, the winner of that event with a new world record of 185 kilos, it is Sven Karlsson of Norway. Gerard, Johansson and Bergmanis all back in second equal on 170 kilos. Stay with us till after the break for event 2 here in Sweden.
To get your copy of Sounds of the 60s, call the number on your screen now. And don't forget, you'll receive the fantastic Beatles album absolutely free when you pay by credit card. So don't wait, call now.
I was feeling kind of seasick.